the button.
Hey everyone, welcome. So we're doing more recording now with 5DJourney, the beautiful Archeia Passion. I am Archeia Rose. How's everyone doing out there? Today is the 12th of May and I'm going to post this as soon as possible, and we are in a geometric storm. So if you're feeling it, it's good news. There's so many timeline shifts happening right now, so sit tight. Anyway, I feel that that's quite important to say that, and that came through right then, that we are going to talk about God. We're going to talk about source. We're going to talk about our connection to God, to source, prime source creator. And before we begin, I want to talk about the importance of this. So when you're in the illusion, when you're in the third dimension, when you're in the Matrix, you are disconnected. It's literally like the film The Matrix. You are disconnected from God. That is why you have amnesia. That is why you cannot remember that you are God. That is why there is chemtrails. That is why, hold on, I'm nearly there. Hold on. That is why so many things are done to stop us from connecting to God. Because when we connect to God, when we connect to our God selves, when we connect to our hearts, we remember our power. That is the importance of that divine connection. It turns so much on in our DNA.
So I wanted to touch on Jen and I were talking before we came on this video, and we said what we're going to call this, and I said flipping God. Now I don't mean flipping God as in the blasphemation, I mean flipping God, because my spiritual journey started when I was 20, when literally God got flipped for me completely.
Yeah.
And what I had always grown up and been taught God was nothing like God is. And it was this first kind of like communication to me that God is not judgmental. God is not some old man that sits in a cloud that judges you, that says, worship me or else. And God is the epitome of love and unconditional love, in fact. And we have to say the word unconditional, because it's not a love we're used to here. 3D is anything but unconditional suffering and pain, maybe, but it's not a word that is synonymous with God in the 3D aspect. It's not you, even though you get taught he's all loving and all forgiving and stuff, and then you get taught, well, but if you don't worship him and you don't turn up in church and then don't do this and don't do that, he'll put you in hell forever.
Yeah.
So my first experience with finding true source, true God, was understanding that God is like your best friend. And I was a bit like, and then I had this kind of whole, probably years worth of education of what God really was. And this source told me how to use God in my life and become friends with God, to the point that I'd have Jehovah's Witnesses and that type of groups knocking on my door, doing their whole, got the leaflets, got the book, have you ever let Jesus in your life? And I'm like, me and God like that. And they're looking at me and they're like, and I'm like, got like a spatula in my hand, like in the middle of cooking the kids' dinner or something. And they're like, and I was like, God's my best friend. I'm like, and they're so confused. They don't know what to say. They're looking at me and they're like completely trying to like take all this in.
Absolutely.
But really, this is what's happened to me. My true experience with God is I found somebody who's like my best friend, my parent, and my life experience miracle, all wrapped up in one. And certainly in the work I'm doing these days, everything is about your relationship with, and the words I'm about to use are interchangeable: self, God, life, and love. When you combine all those together, that gives you this incredible divine experience where you can feel really what is God, and your life takes off. And you become the most amazing version of you could ever imagine. You become what we call super you. And just one last little story. I was working with this amazing guy, and I was doing some studying. And he had a real bee in his bonnet about God, because basically his mum and his sisters were like God nuts in terms of the religious sense of things. And he's like, but they're so judgmental, and they're so this and they're so that, and it has to be done this way and not that way, and da 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 da. And there's a lot more to it than that. And I remember we were in a pub once. It was a beautiful sunny day, and I was like, and I drew a fish for him, and I drew the word God, and then I drew the word God backwards, which is dog. And then I said, your idea of God is this. And I said dog, and I showed him it, and he's like, what? And I said, you think that is God, and it's not. And like for about 10 minutes, you could see his brain really struggling. So I said, all right, let me help you. I drew a fish. I said, if I said that's dog, what would you say? You'd go, no, it's a fish. I said, no, that's a dog. You go, no, it's a fish. No, that's dog. Everyone says so. The book says so. We get told every week that that's. And I was showing him his understanding of what God was completely warped.
Yeah.
And then it was like the light had been lifted. He became even more of a God nut than his sister and his mum in the end, but the true God, I want to say. But anyway, yeah, that was it.
Absolutely. So it's really understanding that we feel that our connection to source it's our freedom. It's our, it sets us free every single day. And I feel that's why the angels, the galactics, prime source creator was really wanted us to, share our experiences, because there's codes in the experiences. So the question I have for people today is, do you connect with God? How do you feel about God? Like, what does God, not even the word, you might be really triggered by me saying God so much. I feel that a lot of people are. A lot of people don't feel that, that, I don't know. I'm going to tell you about my experience of God, and you might not like it. And that is my path. That is the thing. There is no two ways up the mountain. Yeah, there is different roads. And so before I found God, I'd never believed in God. Well, my family went to church. My mother went to church a lot, and I don't like church. The angels are like, no, don't go there. And I didn't have any belief in an actual physical God, or just like some kind of entity to attach to. So I also think that God's really uncool. They've made God very unfashionable. Like, it's not like you see young people being like, yeah, I'm well into God. Hashtag God is not trending. So I connected and found Mother of All Creation in 2019, and this changed my life. I started a lot of my physical, spiritual abilities came online. I heard a lot more. I'm not going to go into the story too much. If you found 5D Full Disclosure, you'll know what I'm talking about. But finding Mother of All Creation meant that I could have some kind of physical connection and understanding with God, maybe in a human sense, which really helped for me, because God it's not human. It's like different thing outside of us. And so connecting to Mother of All Creation, which was a very human thing, made me understand God. Anyway, I'm not explaining it very well, but I feel that this connection that I have with Mother of All Creation changed my life every single day. Connecting with this being, I was jumping through loops that I never thought that I could jump through. I was doing things that I didn't think were even possible, because I had this support, this love, this energy always guiding me, saying, you can do this. And I'm not gonna lie, this energy calls me out. Or like recently, I've been called out a lot. We're not allowed to sit in our dysfunction with these higher beings if we're not accountable. And I love that. I love being told, like, this is good, this is not working for you, because as soon as you shake that thing that is not working for you, you level up. So it is amazing having that structure, that unconditional love that Nick talks about, that judgment. When I am called out, I am not called out because I'm a bad person. I'm being called out because it is love-based. And without those things, I rise higher. And my go-to is automatic writing, meditating, channeling with this being, because I get exactly the answers I need. And yeah, like Nick said, the strongest relationship you ever have will be with God, universe, whatever, and yourself. And yeah, so I think that they keep on saying to me to say to you, like, how do you connect? That's what they want us to do. They don't want us just to be sitting around waiting. And I said this in some of my Diamond Heart series. They don't want us to need a divine intervention. They want us to be working all the time, you know, just doing the little things, cooking dinner, you know, what's highest for me to eat right now, just all the time being guided, working with that connection with source, so that we don't need to get to a level where a divine intervention, you don't need to be crying out for God. God is, you're not getting to those places because all the time you're working, you know, you're working with the dysfunction, with the density, with the triggers all day long in a love base, not in a, I've hit a wall, I'm triggered, it's so bad, what is going on? More like, just try this way, that way. It softens the blow. And I think the energy for the next few months is going to be a lot of forward movement, but very stable, grounded forward movement with a lot of support. What do you want to say?
So it's interesting because, like, what I would like people to do is think about God as being the original energy that everything came from. And if we relate that to our world and everything in it, the God is the all, God is the everything, God is the source, like original source, original prime creator is really the best definition of it.
Yeah.
And you look at everything in your world and people go, yeah, but if God exists, why do we have this and that and the other? And if God exists, why did da 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 da? Because God, the experience of God is why we're all here, to have an experience of God. Now, we're in a free will universe. We aren't made to see God in any way that we don't want to. That doesn't mean we haven't been led down a few misleading paths, shall we say. However, the best way I can explain it to people is, think of the word balance. Think of everything in its balance point, and you are taking the energies and doing the best you can with them. Everything in excess is out of balance, you know, and small amounts of things we deem bad, like judgment, is useful. We need to judge if that food has gone off or not. We need to, you know, because we don't want to get sick. We need to judge, is my life making me feel good right now? Do I need to do less of something or more of something to get the balance?
Yeah.
So this unconditional love really is about seeing everything and accepting it all for the balance it can give you, for the guidance it can give you in your life if you use things in balance. God does not judge. God will look at the most unpleasant activity, shall we say, and will not judge it, because God knows it was created for a reason, i.e., to know the opposite and have this experience of understanding what something is, because you've seen what the opposite is. We would not be able to know what love was until we'd seen what fear was, for example. Okay, so everything in your life that you deem bad is just out of balance. It's something that's not being used correctly. And sometimes being used correctly just means perceiving it, understanding it, so you can choose the opposite. You know, like a bully at school. We all know what a bully at school looks like. If we weren't bullied ourselves, we saw someone who was, or we saw it on telly or something like that. And we've seen what bullying is like, so we can be compassionate. You wouldn't know one if you didn't know the other. So I'm not saying let's all go and start using things that we previously have said is bad. It's about being aware of these things, and being aware gives us the experience. And when we can put ourselves in a power position, we can create positive, ongoing experiences in our lives, which is what God is. It's about us mastering ourselves, our relationship to others, in a way that makes everything happy, using everything around us in balance. And when you have an enlightened idea of what God is, you have choices, you have empowerment, you have perspectives, you have creational opportunities to experience what you choose to experience, which sets your heart on fire. And you end up seeing everything as a benefit because you're using it in balance.
Absolutely. So like I was saying, that God calls out my dysfunction. She calls out anything that I am doing which is out of balance, any behavior that I am doing which isn't coming from a place of divinity or being aligned, or which has run into a program of that isn't serving me. That is what I am being pointed out, any unhealthy programmings, which I'm probably going to deny without having God coming through saying, what are you doing? I'm not going to really allow, probably wouldn't listen to another being, would be triggered, would think, why do you think you can know? But with that like level of God coming through and being like, I really want you to grow and I want you to heal. So I am going to call you out. This isn't the highest for you. This isn't working for you. Like, just, and you can't
That's
say
exactly
no.
the thing I was wanting. I was understanding when you're saying all that. It's what's in the highest for you. What's the best expression? If you want to get to this goal, what is the way that will take you there the quickest, the easiest, the with the best outcome? It's not so much like there is only God, there is only love, and we're all getting there one way or another. Sooner or later, we either take the scenic route and get happy getting lost down a few little lanes and going, oh, look at the bunnies and the trees and the sea, and that's gorgeous. Or we're like, I'm on the motorway in a fast car, and that doesn't mean you are not having, you're missing the pretty view. It means you're having a different experience. And we all chose different experiences. For those of us who said we want the most dynamic, the most fulfilling, the most exciting, the most thrilling, the most growth, the most everything, then you get to a stage where you realize there is something bigger than you out there at play. Universal law will show you that. Nature and its intelligent creation will show you that. And then you start exploring, and this is where your brain opens up and you get curious. What is out there? What could I do? Who could I be? Who am I? What needs to happen? How do I relate to this person, this thing, this place, whatever? And all of a sudden it's like for an animal that's maybe been in a zoo and born in a zoo to be released into the wild, into a place where it's just like, so yeah.
I feel a lot of these timeline jumps that we're experiencing at the moment are related to, like, if you can knock this stuff on the head, which maybe is out of balance, you're gonna be like projecting, like if we just keep on kind of like in the routines, the comfort zones for just a long moment, we're staying in the same timeline. Whereas like I feel like I'm in boot camp at the moment, but it's incredible, just being allowed to be like, let's change this, let's switch this up, let's take accountability. Like, I don't know, I think that this is why we've been asked to talk about God, is that letting God in means that your evolution can go from like maybe moving really slowly to going like, full on light speed, because you have the right information, you have the right connection, you are bypassing your ego program mind, you are straight into your heart, you are connecting with God's divine crystal heart. And the other thing that's really important is understanding that you with God, we talked about this the other day, it's an equal energy exchange. So if you, because God is your divine mirror, she, he, whatever, I'm going to say she, is going to put in as much effort as you do, because you're an expression of God. We're all love mirrors of one another. So if you are ignoring the signs, you're ignoring the signals, you're ignoring any of this guidance, or you're just not interested in connecting, there's going to be no connection coming to you. Whereas if it's anything, if you're like, I want to connect, I want to know more, I want to grow, I want to heal, I want more guidance, like, boom, like straight away they're going to be like, right, we're coming in, we're going to give you the guidance, we're going to like fast track you to your ascension. So just let love in, open your hearts, be open to receiving from source. There is no fear. Like Nick said, you're not going to be told you're bad, or, you know, like I have a lot of things that I'm like, God's watching me all the time. You know, like all the time, but there's no judgment at all. So open your hearts, let God in, just ask for some simple support, and yeah, it's
I
so
really
simple.
want to take an opportunity to, so for people that might watch this video and be like, I don't do God, I don't do religion, I
Yeah,
don't do stuff like that. I want to explain it to you in another way. God is you loving yourself and doing the best thing for yourself and others at the same time, all the time.
yeah,
That
absolutely.
that's the equivalent of bringing God into your life. It's being able to become your best self. So healing everything, healing every trauma you've ever been through, every fear you've got about the future, in every way about every person. You might have fear over your kids, you know, or how will they do in life, and da 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 da. I'm okay, but how will they do? It doesn't matter what it's about. If you
Yeah,
have a fear or a limitation in some way, you're in the dark, basically. Um, and God in your life means you are able to live your biggest, best life, and you are in pure joy all the time about everything.
absolutely.
You're cool, you're happy, you're chill. It's like you've decided to move to the place you go on holiday every year, and you love it. And you've made the move. You've left, you've left the city, you've left the rat race, and you're moving to the country you always go on holiday because you love it for those 3 weeks a year, whatever. And you've
Yeah.
made the move and you've arrived. That is like God in your life. But the same thing is, you're able to be like this with everyone else as well, including the people who you other people might deem bad. There is no bad, it's just your perspective, and God is like a perspective. I mean, there's so many ways you can relate it to.
And I think it's really important to understand, like me and Nick are talking about God in a healing perspective, but God is also really fun. God loves partying. God loves dancing. God wants you to embrace childlike wonder. God is laughing her ass off the whole time. Like everything is funny. It's
Best
like,
sense of humor, like humor and wit and genius. Like when we have syncs happen in our lives, when we find like we go, I don't know, something's happening, and we're like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? How's this going to end? Oh, and then all of a sudden, boom, we get the gift at the end, or we get the sync, and we're like, oh my God, that was genius. You know, you could never have constructed that. You never would have had the brain power to even conceive of this outcome. And it's just like you become part of the coolest, best, wisest, cleverest, funniest, sassiest club ever.
absolutely.
Life becomes magical.
And God is also the giver of dreams. God is the giver of miracles. She wants your dreams to come true. She is working so hard, or whatever. I'm going to say she because that's my heart.
12 on the
To,
clock. 12,
yeah,
12 on the 12.
12, 12 on the clock. Yes, 12, 12, 12. To bring you what you want, your deepest, you know, she or whatever knows what your heart true, what makes you so happy. And they're working so hard up there with you. Like you are the one who has to do the work. I'm not going to lie. It's what you wanted to do. We are the ones we've been waiting for. It doesn't just happen externally. It definitely comes from us working very hard, but you will be rewarded. And yeah, it's beautiful. I often do this thing where if I'm driving and I put some music on and I'm having a little party, I have a party in the etheric. It's not just me partying. I'm there with the angels, with the galactics. We are dancing. I can see them in my third eye. We are dancing our asses off. And so I think it's understanding that God isn't maybe Sky Daddy, a man in a white suit who is all judging, who thinks you're going to sin, that doesn't have life experiences. God wants to create and explore and try different things. And I don't know, if you're triggered by us talking about God, maybe you need to look at it.
God is like, you are a fragment of God. So like a ray of the sun is not the sun, but it's of the sun.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you are a fragment of God, which means you're an intelligent, creative being. The whole point of living is to become self-aware And then when you're self-aware, you're aware of the abilities you have and the power to create, then you get to go,
Yeah,
oh, and you've got free will as well. So then you get to go, can I create this? Can I create that? Like, yeah. Oh, can I
absolutely.
help doing that? Yeah. You step into wonderland. When you step into taking God into your life and the galactics and the angels and everything else, you literally step into adult wonderland. And this is not like woo woo weird. Your life goes from being dull, bland, even if you're the sort of person that maybe goes and has holidays 2, 3 times a year or whatever, when you are not spiritually nourished, that party will end one day, and it'll often end with a thump, and it can hurt.
Ding. Absolutely.
When you have God into your life, nothing hurts. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not like, oh, one day, you find God and all the pain goes. No, there is work to be done. But all that work is understanding spiritual concepts. Things like universal laws, what you resist persists, what you put out comes back. Life is your mirror. Life is reflecting on the external, what is going on the internal. And it's very, very complex, but it's also very, very simple. And whatever level you're at, you can see a way that it can relate to you, and it
Yeah.
lights you up. It's like winning the life lottery. And the best thing about it, so I'm kind of now talking to people who maybe have been very much on the back foot with the whole God thing. They kind of feel like there must be something there because it's such a big part of life for so many. But
I've got it. I've got what it is. They told me. I'm going to tell them. So I feel that, it's not about God at all. Because if you're not connecting to God, they're like, don't worry. They're like, it's love because God is love. They're like, if you cannot connect with God, because for myself, I've had extremely special experience. So has Nikki. So it's easy for us. So if the universe feels, I don't know, non-relatable, if prime source creator feels detached, source feels detached, just connect to love, because that is what all of them are, because that is that is what the universe is. It is love, and that is what we are all returning to. So in those moments when you feel you can't find God, just feel love. That's it.
love do now. And
Exactly.
why would you do love? So why would you forgive somebody? Why would you be kind to somebody who's been mean to you? Why would you, smile at somebody who's been maybe like, I don't know, bitching behind your back to the neighbors or something like that? Because you can, because that is who you are. Who do you choose to be? Like, so often it all comes down to, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the person who is slighted and made a victim? Or do you want to be this person who's so full of joy in your heart, you're immune to anything? And I mean anything.
I think it's also the fact that, like, so we can be love in action, but then it's connecting to love. So it's like, if you can't connect, for me and you, it's easier because we have an actual thing that we can connect to and identify. So if someone was lacking that, they could just connect to the frequency and the feeling of love, for that support, for that like unconditional love, for that needing to know what to do. Just like,
Or
yeah,
nature
that's
the universe. Like, if you really want to, for the people who like, all right, go on, prove me God exists, I'll prove to you God exists. Ask for the small things that you believe can happen to you, but say thank you for them. Thank you for me getting a parking space, a really good parking space right now. Thank you for this working out in my outcome, in my favor. Thank you for this person stopped giving me grief. Whatever it is. Now, 85% of the time it's going to work. 15 to 25% of the time it won't work, because there's actually something bigger going on that you will find out about and get the gift about later on. Sometimes it might be now, and here's the other clue: the worst things that happen to you hold your biggest gifts. So when you start looking at them with that's really bad, you are slamming the lid shut on getting the gift, and you will not see the love, you will not see the light, and you will literally put yourself in a hellish experience with it.
yeah.
All you have to do is say, what good thing could come out of this bad thing? That's it. Start with that perspective. What good thing could come out of here? And give life time to show you. If you can't see it straight away, do not fret. Now, when you can trust in that, That's called faith. Now, you're a creative being, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not. You have just gone from manifesting more negative things in your life to manifesting more positive things in your life, purely by shifting your perception of, is there a good thing in this? Just by asking one question. Now, what the universe takes from you in the forms of thoughts, phrases, questions, it will return to you. You just have to wait and see. That's it. That's as much as you have to do. But look, because when the universe brings you a gift, it can come from anywhere and it can be in any form. The saddest thing would be if you missed it and said, "Oh, it can't be that because it wouldn't look like that." No. You can't put any restrictions on it. You can't, dull it down. You just have to keep your eyes open and just go, could that be it? Is it that? Is it this? Oh, that's all you have to do. It's amazing.
So saying that, the month of May is going to be filled with love surprises, but because we have Uranus in Taurus, these love surprises are coming in unexpected ways. Uranus is the planet of like sudden changes. So we have a lot of expectations of human beings, of how love should look, what love should do, how it should turn out, how our journey should be. And yeah, so you might find that this month that a lot of your dreams, your wishes, your manifestations come through, but maybe in a way that you didn't think that they would. And you're like, oh, right, fascinating. Okay, this is a whole new beginning. This is a whole new journey. So I feel we'll wrap it up there. We've been going for a bit, and it was just really, a lot of these discussions are about us talking because we have the codes from our own experiences, just us saying like, how do you connect to God? Could you just connect to love? Like afterwards I was feeling into just connecting to love, and I was like, that's a really good one. It's easy for me and Nick to go on about our connections because that's how, if you're new to the path and you haven't found it, that might just be like the vibration that you need to tap into to get you through those moments when you're like, why is this happening? If you're just like, I can trust in love, and then you're like, wow, feeling that one. Beautiful.
Cool. Well, if you've got any questions or
on the clock.
comments, leave them in the comment section, and do all the liking and sharing and subscribing stuff because it's so much fun. And yeah, we'll see you on the other videos.
Yeah, all links below. We love you.
Love you.
Bye.